I spent over 30 hours picking every single lock in the game and cataloged all the loot into a database. In this video, I'm going to show you how the database works and the best loot spots in each town except for Rattay and Sassau, which will get their own videos later this week. I've included timestamps and a link to the database in the description. Let's get to stealing. Let's briefly talk about how to use the database. So if you click the link in the description, it'll take you to the main Notion page right here. The first thing you're going to want to do is add a filter. Up here at the top right, you click this filter button. You're going to see a little drop down here for the town name. Whatever town you're trying to loot, you're going to want to click that checkbox and it's going to filter everything else out so you only look at the town that you're trying to loot. Starting from the left, this checkbox means that I've covered it in this specific video. So I've added this so you can tell which ones I looted easily and you can check them for yourself. It's got the town name, the map number. I labeled all of these buildings specific to the map, and if you click the map right here, it's this column. This is a pop-up and I've added numbers here so you can see exactly what they correlate to. So for example, in this video, I checked number 1, 3, 10, and 12. Clicking on the map again, we can see 1, 3, 10, and 12. And if you see numbers on top of each other like this means that 12 is the downstairs, 11 is the upstairs. I've only added it for some. In some instances, I use one number for the whole building, and in others, I split them up. Next, we have how many lock difficulty there are of that type. There's very easy, easy, hard, and very hard. And you can see at the bottom, there's a sum of everything. So if you want to know how many are in this specific town, you just add these numbers up. I've got a column for loot type. However, this doesn't tell you what the loot is, but it is an easy way to filter without having to look through a list of 20 or 30 items to see if it's something that you want. For example, quest items are here, dice, books, repair kits, armor, weapons, etc. Now, if it's something that we've logged in another database, you're going to be able to see it from here. For example, Hercules and his diet is in this. You can see it's labeled as a book. And if we go to the skill books, we can see what kind of book it is. You're going to want to click this to open it up and then click it a second time to open up the books database. So we've created a books database. Every single skill book is logged here. It tells you what it does. On normal difficulty, it gives you 70 XP for strength, and on hardcore, it gives you 42 XP for strength. You can also see where else it's located. So you can find it in Skalitz. You can find it in Rattay. The Rattay armor also has this book. We've connected all these to other databases. I'm not going to go over all these. I'll cover them in other videos, but just know that you can find pretty much anything in the game through here. I've also added a column for groschen. This is just raw groschen that you don't have to sell the item to get. Let's do one more quick example so we can show you how to switch towns. Let's say we go from Skalitz and the next one we want to raid is Neuhoff. So I'm going to click on Neuhoff, but we need to click on Skalitz again to remove it. And then we're only getting Neuhoff. Now again, Neuhoff, we rated only one because there's only one chest here that's worth getting. It's got 443 groschen. You can see they've got golden spurs. I can click on that to open up the database and you can see all the stats for this. Same thing with the military horseshoes. I'm gonna go in here. Everything is logged here. So with that out of the way, let's get into the actual looting. So let's start off in Skalitz. We're going to cover in order, starting with the highest map number, working our way down towards the bottom, and we're only going to be looking at interesting chests. For example, in your starting home, if you go all the way to the end of the hall, there's another door down here. It's an easy lockpick. This one has a little bit of groschen, but it also has a book, Hercules and his diet. Next, we're moving on to building number 3. So building number 3 is right here in the main road, and it is the trader's shop. We'll start upstairs. Most of the interesting stuff is upstairs. It is a hard lock, so you will need a little bit of skill to get in here. There's a little bit of groschen scattered around in these easy ones, but if you look in the hard one, this one has 80 groschen. This one is hard. It has only a little bit of groschen. There's another one in this other room over here. Again, a lot of hard locks. Tons of good XP from here. It has 80 groschen, and it has some other things. It's a decent quilted jacket, some savior schnapps, and some repair kits. Again, we won't normally be covering this in the rest of the guide. The only reason I'm doing it now is because Skalitz is the starting one, so it makes sense to go over all that. We'll collect all the little bit of groschen here and there. There's also one more down here. Downstairs, there's a hard lock, a couple easy chests. Again, same thing. It's just little stuff. Probably not really worth mentioning after this, after Skalitz. Now, the rest of these houses, they do have a lot of locks. There's just not a whole lot of loot in them. So going from here all the way down to the bottom and then back up, these houses are not that great. I'll show you on the map. So these 3, as well as these 3, they're not that great. So we'll start back up here when we go back towards the tavern. We will make one quick stop, the house right before the tavern. This is building number 9. When you first come in, if you go to the right, there is a hard chest here. And this one has not very many groschens, but it also has some tailor kits. So again, if you're looking to get all the kits, you've got some of the other one we just covered. Tailor kits here. Only thing we're missing, I believe, is the cobbler kit. So you'll have everything except for that. Now, next one is building number 10, which is going to be over here in the tavern area. So if you're looking at the tavern from the outside, it's the door on the right. We're going to come in here. We're going to go in the downstairs door. There are a couple chests upstairs. There's not really anything good in them. Just a little bit of groschen. Make another right here, and you'll see a very hard chest. This one has quite a bit of stuff in it. 150 groschen, that's a lot of money for this area. And then you've got Tavern Life, which is a good book, some Savior Schnapps, and then some beer. I would recommend stocking up on this so that you can get some easier lock picking. And like I said, there's other ones around here. There's not a whole lot of good stuff. There's some Savior Schnapps in this one. I believe some groschen in this one. And then upstairs, there's some groschen as well. But this is where the good stuff is in the tavern. Let's move on to the next one. And again, this is kind of borderline. I probably wouldn't cover this outside of Skalitz, but in the bottom stairs, you need to be able to open up hard locks. There is 80 groschen in here. And then on this side, there's another 15 right there. And if you go upstairs, there's another 40 or 50 in there. Not a whole lot, but that's pretty much Skalitz. There's not a whole lot of good loot, but there's a lot of locks to pick, so you can definitely get some good XP from it. Let's take a look at the whole town of Skalitz. There's at least 57 locks to pick here and nearly 700 groschen in locked chests. The other loot is pretty light, a couple skill books and repair kits. Only 4 properties were worth covering in this video: 1, 3, 10, and 12. Next, we're going to take a look at Neuhoff. There's really only one place in this whole town that's worth looking at in terms of loot, and that's going to be the main stable area. So this is it looks like a little castle. You're going to go in through the main gate right here for the front. You're going to go straight back through this first door. You're going to make a right. You see these 2 doors on the right. This one on the left is a hard lock. This is where we want to find all the good loot. So we're going to come in here, and then there's a very hard chest. And if you look right here, there are 400 groschen. And then if we organize by price, there's a ton of stuff in here. At least 10,000 worth of stuff, if not more, if you can carry it. A lot of it's kind of heavy, but, you know, make several trips. There's a ton of locks in here. There's another maybe 40 or 50 groschen to be had if you go through all the different locks. They're mostly in this little living quarter area. And that is, if you're not sure where that is, right when you first go through these double doors, it's the first door on your left. There's quite a few sleeping quarters right over here. Not really worth talking about, but if you do need the XP, there's a lot of locks for you. Neuhoff doesn't have a ton of loot, but with 42 locks, it can be a great place to train lockpicking. We only covered building number 5, which is the stables, and has over 400 groschen, expensive clothing, and expensive horse accessories. Now let's cover Talmberg. We're actually going to start up at the castle first, since there's really only 2 things here that we want to loot, and it's in the actual castle itself. So you go through the main gates. We're going to go into the actual castle, and we're going to go upstairs. What we want to loot is on the 2nd floor and on the 3rd floor. We're going to start on the 2nd floor. When you first come in, you're going to make a left. This is a hard lock. There's 2 things here. On the very right, you'll see a hard chest with some groschen, lockpicks, a really expensive Milanese curious, and a silver ring, so some jewelry. And then there's another hard on the back. This has some more groschen, some expensive clothing, and another lockpick. Now, I didn't include this in the database. A lot of times this guy's clothes when he sleeps goes in here, but if he's awake, you have to knock him out to get it. I would probably recommend just doing it when he sleeps, because then you don't have to knock him out. But I'll just show you what he has. A little bit of groschen, but really it's this one right here, the quartered combat jacket, 1.1k, very expensive. You also have some other things that are worth quite a bit. Silent shoes, the red chaperon, so definitely worth taking some of these things. And then next we're going to go upstairs. We're going to make a right, and we're going to go into Lady Stephanie's chambers. So this easy chest on the right has some clothing in here. 500 groschen, 400 groschen, and then a piece of armor. I didn't put this on the list because it's below 500. If you want, you can take it and sell it. And then there's another chest, very hard. This one has a 1.1k boots, or red noble's hood. So some decent money there. And then the final thing in the towers, I did not put this on the database as well, but when the soldiers sleep, they will put their gear in a chest. If you come here during the day, the chests are just going to have junk in them, but if you come here at night, you can actually get some decent stuff. But with that out of the way, that's it for the castle. Let's head back down the hill and we'll go raid the actual town itself. Quickest way down is just on this drawbridge. Just jump down right here. You shouldn't take too much damage. And then we're going to go down to the main road, across the river, farthest bridge over here, and then make a right. This house right here, it looks like a skinning or a tannery. It's the one all the way on the left. This is building number 1 if you're looking at the database map. So we're going to go straight in the house. There's 2 crates that we're going to look at. The one on the left is the one that has money. So this one and this one, the one on the left is the one that has 200 groschen. We're going to snag that, leave here. We're going to go immediately up the hill. So we're just going to make our way all the way up the hill. Now, if it's nighttime, this guy will be sleeping and some of his clothing will be in one of the crates. If you've got high enough strength, you could try and knock him out and take it. I would probably just come back at nighttime to do it. So when you first walk in, it's going to be this door right here. Very easy with a lock and very hard on the chest. It's got 200 groschen. It's got quite a bit of weapons in here. All the bows that you'll ever need. Treasure map 18. The Joys of Gutting level 1. And then a bunch of arrows. So if you're doing any kind of ranged combat, this is definitely the place to hit up. There's a few other chests in here, but they don't really have anything good in it. I wouldn't waste time on them unless you need the XP. So let's head back out and go to the next target. So we're going to go back down the hill, and this is the tavern. Should be pretty easy to find. Now, when you get to the tavern, there's a bunch of chests inside the actual housing area. Not really worth going for. It's got a bunch of crappy clothing and I think maybe 5 or 10 groschen, something like that. The one you're interested in is this underground storage right here. This is usually locked with a hard lock, but when the ale house lady goes in, she'll unlock it. So if you're lucky, you can get in there. There's a bunch of chests. This one doesn't have much good. Same thing with this one. It's the one all the way in the left and the back. This one has 207 groschen in it and a bunch of other stuff if you need savior schnapps, any of the other things.
Do something!
This lady caught us, so we're gonna beat her senseless. That's what you get for ratting us out, lady. And then once you're done with the tavern, there's one more place to go. It's actually not on the map. I didn't want to do an extra map just for this, but it's pretty easy to find. So if you're on the side of the river that the castle is, or the west side of it, and then you're gonna follow that all the way back. So this little road right here, this is gonna take you back to the quarry. So just follow this. So once you make it to the quarry, you're going to go all the way to the back where the blacksmith is, and he's going to have 2 chests back here, an easy and a very hard. In the very hard, you're going to see 400 groschen, definitely worth looking at. There's not a whole lot of good stuff here. There's some noble horseshoes if you don't have those yet. They're worth 500. Bunch of other stuff I guess you could sell. It's not really worth a whole lot. Some armor kits. There's a lot of other chests too. If you need the XP, there's a bunch of chests over here across the river. Every one of these little hovels has a chest down here. Easy lockpick with some groschen, 10 in each. It's kind of worth, if you need the XP, it's worth coming over here to do it. At least pick up the 400 groschen from the blacksmith. Talmberg Castle has 30 locks to pick, with half of them being hard or very hard, so the XP is great here, but only the 2nd and 3rd floor has good loot. Armor, clothing, jewelry, and about 250 groschen. The town outside the castle has another 60 locks to pick and almost 1,000 groschen. Building 7, the Huntsman's Lodge, is amazing for anyone looking to stock up on bows and arrows. Next, let's take a look at Ledetchko. We are starting on the southern side. There's only 4 houses on this south side of the river. We're going to be interested in house number 1, 3, and 4. We're going to visit all 3 of these, starting with the one at the top of the hill. So very first house you come to if you're coming in from the south, we're going to go in, make an immediate right, and then go, you'll see a chest right away. And this one has a very expensive piece of armor, the dyed Milanese Brigandine. A little bit of groschen as well. Next, we're going to go back out. We're going to go down the hill. And again, we're skipping this first house. We're interested in the 2 that are along the river. So we'll first do the one on the left, which is the Tanners. We're going to go in the door and immediately make a left. And this chest is very hard. It has 200 groschen in it. Immediately to the left, there's an easy chest. This one has the dyed Milanese Brigandine. So 2 of them, they're worth 2.7k each. So next, we're going to exit and go right across the street. This is the smith. There's nothing outside. You need to go inside. We're going to go to the first door on the right. You can see very hard chest is the first one. This has 400 groschen and some noble horseshoes. It has some other stuff as well. Probably not really worth talking about. Maybe some armor kits. The other gear's not that good though. But that is it for the southern side of Ledetchko. Let's go ahead and cross the river. Now for the north side of the river, we're looking at building 5, 6, and 7. We'll start off here. Right when you cross the river, the very first building you're going to run into is the bathhouse, and you're going to look for the house on the left-hand side. We're going to open this door up, very easy lock. We're going to immediately make a left, and it's a very hard chest. It's got a ton of other potions as well. We're more interested in the groschen, but if you need other potions, there's a ton of them in here. Next, we're going to head back up the street. So again, we're just going to go next door, back to back. We're going to go into the tavern. The very first door on your left, it is an easy lock. And then on the floor, this first one is very hard, but this one's actually empty. So this one doesn't have anything. It's the second one. So if you're pressed for time, make sure you get the correct one. It's the far one. 150 groschen there. And again, more stuff. We got savior schnapps and some spirits if you need alcohol. Then we're going to go back out and go to the next one. So again, it's all 3 in a row. Very easy to find. Next one is going to be the tailor. This one does not have a lock on the first door. We're going to make a left right when you come in. It's an easy lock. And there's only one chest in here. It is very hard. But if you look at this one, this is the jackpot. We got 1,000 groschen. We have 1,200 brocade. There's a ton of clothing that's selling for 400 or 500 groschen per pound. A lot of good stuff here that you could sell. So we're going to leave the tailor shop. We're going to go directly across the street to the trader shop. This is going to be building number 14. There's 3 in a row here we're going to hit. We're going to go 14, 15, and 16. And on the map, it looks right here. 14, 15, and 16. Now this one's a little tricky. There's people there. You probably want to wait until nighttime to do this or figure out a way to get them out. So when you first go into the shop, it's the room all the way in the back, and it's the chest on the right-hand side. So chest on the right-hand side, this is going to have Hercules in his diet 2, and 280 groschen. There's some other things, but probably not really worth taking. Next, after we finish robbing the trader, we're going to go immediately next door to the butcher. We're going to go right through the front door. We're going to make a quick right, and it's the first door on your right-hand side. Now, this is a very hard chest, but it has a lot of money. 680.6 groschen. Bunch of meat in here. And then if you want one more chest, there's a little bit more money in here and another very hard lock. It's got 11.9 groschen. Not worth taking for the money, but definitely worth it for the XP. And then finally, after we rob the butcher, we're going to go across the street to this 2-story building right here. We're interested in going upstairs, so there's a staircase on the outside. If you can pick a hard lock, sometimes it is already open, so you can just go right in. And then it's an easy chest. It's the first chest on your right if you're coming in from the upstairs. And this is really easy money right here. 2.7k for a dyed Milanese Burgundy. There's a few other chests and locks downstairs. There's nothing really else worth getting here though. That's really the main one. Not only is Ledetchko a great place to train lockpicking with 87 locks, but the loot is very good. Nearly 3,000 groschen and plenty of very expensive armor pieces. Because the town is small, the guard population is low, and the good locations to rob are bunched close together, making this an excellent target. Next up, we're here in Merhojed. There's only one building really worth looking at. If you're looking at this pond, we're going to go right here where the horse stable is, so it's on the other side of the pond. I'm going to come through here, ignore the house, just go straight to the barn, and you're going to see a very hard lock here on the left-hand side when you first come in. And in here, there's a book, Basic Horse Riding Skills, Level 1, 400 groschen. In terms of anything that's of value, there's some knight spurs, some cavalry bridle. There's some other things that are lower tier if you don't have anything for your horse. But for the most part, these are the only things really worth taking here. Merhojed is a great spot to practice lockpicking with 27 locks and only a few guards patrolling the town. The loot is severely lacking though. Only 500 groschen, no armors, and no weapons to be had. Samopesh is a very small town. There's only one chest that we're going to be looking at, so it's going to be across the street from the blacksmith. So if you're at the blacksmith, you're going to look down the street and to your right, so you need to cross the street, and it's the very first building you run into, this one right here. When you first go in the door, we're going to make a left. Very easy lock guarding that one. And then it's a very hard chest here. You can see there's quite a bit of stuff. If you scroll to the bottom, there's 100 groschen. That's definitely worth taking. There's some other stuff if you're short on arrows, save your schnapps, or some of these kits. It's got some other things on it. But that's pretty much it for Samopesh. Samopesh is a very small town with only 17 locks and 100 groschen in loot. Don't go out of your way to come here. Now let's talk about Uzhitz. We're going to break Uzhitz up into 2 sections. The southern section, which is the south of the river, and then the northern section north of the river. There's only one building south of the river that's even worth looking at, and it's over here in the stable, the horse trader. So if you're in this little intersection here, you can see the butcher shop. You're going to look for this little archway. This is where the stable is. We're going to go all the way to the back, right over here where they have all the horses. On the right-hand side, there's a box right here. Now this has Basic Horse Riding Skills 2. That's a good book. 400 groschen. And if we sort by money, there's quite a few things here. Maybe about another 10,000 worth of groschen. So pretty good stuff here. But that's it for the southern side. Let's go ahead to the northern side. We're going to go ahead and cross the river. So we're across the river now. We're starting in the center of town where they've got the pillory. And if you look to the left, it's going to be this building. There's actually 2 facing each other. This is going to be number 7 in the database. We'll start with the one on the left. So we're going to come in here. There's a very easy lock and then a very hard chest with 40 groschen in it. Another very hard chest with another 400 groschen in it. Agile as a weasel 2 and some bows. So after we come out of that one, we're going to go straight across, jump this fence. And again, there's a lot of people around. So this one, both of these might have to be done at nighttime when everybody's asleep. But you make a quick left. This is going to have Hercules in his diet 2 and 280 groschen. There's a few other things in here. Not really worth talking about though. And again, you can see there's guards all over the place. It's going to be really hard to get in here. So again, that was building 7. That's 2 buildings side by side. We're going to go next to building number 9. Building number 9 is on the back side of this. It is the notary or the scribe, whatever they call it. I think it's called a scribe. So when you first walk in, it's going to be the second door on the left. You'll see a very hard chest. This one has a ton of books in it. Primer, Primer 2, these are both skill books, and then also has 200 groschen. And then if you're trying to get reading XP, you can read all these other ones. So that's the scribe building number 9. And the final one is going to be building number 11, which again, if you're looking at the pillory, it's right across, which is the inn. So we hit these two, that one, and then we're going to keep going clockwise. So we're going to go in and make an immediate right, open the door, make a right. There's 2 hard chests in here. The one that you're interested in that has most of the money is going to be this first one. It has 150 groschen. It has a bunch of other stuff too if you need to save your schnapps or any kind of alcohol. This chest is also very hard. It's got mostly food and again, more savior schnapps and wine. But if you're only interested in the money, it's going to be this first one that you see right on the right-hand side. South Uzhitz has over 20 locks to pick, and all the good loot is in a single outdoor chest. So it's definitely worth a visit. But the bulk of the wealth is north of the river. There's 1,200 groschen to be had, several books, and expensive clothing to steal. There's also 88 locks to pick here, so it can be a great place to practice and get XP. KCD 2 is only a few months away, and we plan on having the exact same coverage for that game, cataloging all the quests, armor, weapons, achievements, and literally everything else in the game. So keep us in mind in February 2024. I'm almost done editing the Rattay and Sassau loot map videos, and will appear on the screen once they're done. We're also updating our YouTube membership and Patreon perks in the very near future. So if you're interested in getting ad-free early access to all our videos, behind-the-scenes recordings, special badges and access on the Discord server, and much more, consider joining either one. A huge shout out to the current supporters. We appreciate all of you.